This report actually began in April of 2008 at Cincinnati's Spring Grove Cemetery when, on an unrelated visit, we spotted this gravestone, which simply read, Coffin. Wondering if that just might be the grave of the famous white Quaker slavery abolitionist Levi Coffin, we decided to take a closer look. Finding no definitive answer on the front side, which faced the road, we decided to take a look on the back side. And voila, there it was, confirmation that this was Levi Coffin's cemetery site. He had died in 1877 at age 79. Almost 4 years later, Coffin's wife, Catharine, had also passed away at age 78. However, the inscription that really caught our eye simply reads, quote, "Noble benefactors aiding thousands to gain freedom, a tribute from the colored people of Cincinnati," unquote. That inscription made us want to know more about black involvement at the 1877 funeral and burial of Levi Coffin. First stop, Cincinnati's main public library for internet browsing and some research through the library's local newspaper archives. On the safepassageohio.org website, we found a paragraph saying Quaker graves were usually unmarked or without standing headstones. It continued that, quote, "African Americans raised the money for the marker and went to a Quaker meeting to get approval to erect a monument to the Coffins," unquote. That monument was unveiled on Decoration Day, May 30th, 1902. So, the Levi and Catharine Coffin Monument at Cincinnati's Spring Grove Cemetery was actually erected almost 25 years after Levi Coffin had died in 1877. To follow up, we found a May 31st, 1902 article in the Commercial Tribune newspaper that reported about the Decoration Day activities. The headline read, quote, "Colored people unveil monument to Coffin," unquote. Much of the long article, which included this picture of Levi Coffin himself, was a history of his early life through his Freedmen's Aid service after the Civil War. One sentence also informed readers that Levi and Catharine Coffin had once served for 3 years without pay as superintendent and matron of Cincinnati's Colored Orphan Asylum. We also read that money to pay for the 6-foot Coffin monument had come exclusively from black citizens. In fact, the article pointedly said, quote, "No white person being allowed to contribute," unquote. However, the Coffin's son Henry of Washington did wire $5 for flowers for his parents' graves. Program participants in that 1902 Decoration Day monument unveiling included Reverend I. N. Ross, Reverend H. H. Harris, Miss Eva Irwin, A. J. DeHart, Dr. William Judkins, Reverend Benjamin Franklin, Reverend H. D. Proud, and William Copeland. The only names we recognized were A. J. DeHart, the principal of the all-black Elm Street School in Walnut Hills, and William Copeland, a black Republican politician from the West End. The Coffin Monument unveiling wasn't the only major black community Decoration Day event mentioned in the article. There were also services honoring black Civil War veterans at the Warsaw Cemetery, also known as Union Baptist Cemetery in Price Hill, and at the Colored American Cemetery, now United American, in Madisonville. According to the newspaper, quote, "Throngs of people attended both cemeteries," unquote. So, the Coffin Monument we accidentally spotted at Spring Grove Cemetery in the spring of 2008 had actually been put there by Cincinnati's black citizens in 1902. However, one question remained. What, if any, was black participation at Levi Coffin's funeral in 1877, almost 25 years before the monument was unveiled? For that answer, we located a September 19, 1877 report in the Cincinnati Daily Star newspaper. Levi Coffin's funeral had been held at the Friends Meeting House on the corner of 8th and Mound. And not only did significant numbers of black citizens attend, the article also said, quote, "Promptly at 11, the body was borne into the church, a delegation of colored men acting as pallbearers," unquote. Another newspaper, the Cincinnati Daily Gazette, included all the names of those pallbearers, 4 white and 4 black. The 4 blacks were George Peterson, Robert Scott, Peter H. Clark, and T. Colston. From other sources, we learned that George Peterson was a black community activist who was also a trustee of the Colored Orphan Asylum. Peter H. Clark was a prominent political activist and educator who, at the time of Coffin's death, was also principal of the city's first black public high school. And, according to Peter H. Clark's biographer, Walter P. Hertz, Mr. Clark was the only person to address the gathered crowd at Coffin's gravesite. We were unable to find any more information about the other pallbearers. So, following up on the chance spotting of the monument to Levi and Catharine Coffin at Spring Grove Cemetery not only led us to find out it had been erected by Cincinnati's black citizens in 1902, but we also learned that black citizens had participated very prominently in Levi Coffin's funeral 25 years earlier in 1877. Another piece of news from our past.